Hi, I'm Hannah from Love Learning Tutors, and today we're doing some maths tutorials as part of Love Learning Tutorials. So, firstly I'd like to look at some rearranging equations. Sometimes they call it changing subject. I've noticed a lot of my students still having problems with this till quite late sometimes. So it's definitely worth making sure you've mastered. It's a foundation for the rest of all your other maths bits and pieces that you need to do. So these are three examples. I'll be doing another video with x on the bottom of the fraction, so you can see that, and then slightly more complicated ones after. So once you've mastered this, please go and check them out too. So to begin with, so the aim of the game is we want to get x by itself. So in the way that c is by itself here, we want to get x. So we want this alone, and we want this alone. Okay, so the way that you need to think about it is with opposite relations. So where something's added, you want to subtract it to remove it, or if something's times, you want to divide it to remove it, and vice versa. So with this first example here, this x is kind of unapproachable right now. There's a secret little times here that you can't see. We don't tend to write it, we just put the two letters together, but it does have a multiplication relationship to each other. So it's kind of locked in. So the first things that you want to get rid of are things that are added or subtracted on either side. So in this example, we have a plus b. So the opposite of plus b is minus b. So in order to keep this in equals, so equals means, both sides are always the same. What we do on one side, we must do to the other. So if we subtract the b from this side, we have to subtract the b from this side. So this makes the next line ax is equal to b minus b. We cancel each other out. And then we have c minus b here. So we're actually very close now. So as we discussed before, this is a times. They have a times relationship. So what is the opposite? It's divide. So we want to keep this here, so it's the a that we're dividing out of the situation. So we're dividing both sides by a. So a divided by a will give you 1. Now, we don't tend to have ones in front of our letters. If it was 2x, for example, it would say 2x. But just for 1x, we just tend to write x just by itself is equal to c minus b, what we had before, and it's all over that a. So that's our first one. Da, 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 tick. Oh, this pen's not really working quite yet. Clearly have more shaking to do. Okay, so number 2. Now this one's locked in a fraction. So at the moment we can't really get to it because it's all tied up. We need to remove this c first. It's clearly in the way. So this is currently, when it's at the bottom of a fraction, it means it's divided. All this x minus b is divided by this c. So the way to remove that is to do the opposite. So we want to times both sides by c. So c divided by c will just give you 1. So we have c times d is equal to x minus b. We don't really need this times here. We can just write cd. Or you can keep the times sign there. It's completely up to you. But it's inferred. You know what's happening. So again, we want to get this by itself. So it's got this plus b. So the opposite of adding b, so we've got this minus b, sorry, pardon me. So the opposite would be plus. I'm saying what I'm thinking already, kind of, and it's totally getting in the way. There we go. So in essence, we have cd plus b is equal to, these two cancelled out, so that makes our x. So let's give that a tick. So we have x as the subject, which was the goal. Okay, so last one, number 3 here. So this one involves a little bit more, but not really too much. So this is the first example we've seen with brackets, isn't it? So in essence, when we have a letter next to a bracket, do you know what relationship it has with the bracket? Similar to how we had two letters together, it had a secret times, or an invisible times. This is exactly the same here. So we can't get to this x yet because it's locked into this bracket situation. So the easiest thing to remove is this a. So what's the opposite of timesing a? It's dividing by a. So a divided by a will just make 1. So then we have plus c is equal to e over a. You might have noticed that I've removed the brackets now, but as it's just how it is inside the brackets, we don't need them there anymore. So super simple, almost at the end. So we have a plus c, so the way to get x by itself is to remove this extra plus c by taking c away from both sides. Pow, pow. So we get x is equal to e over a minus c. Oh, amazing. Okay, so those are the first three examples. If you want to see what happens when we have x at the bottom, because I know that does throw a lot of people off, please check out our next video. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends if you found it useful. Let us know what you think. These are all built around you and what you guys want to know. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.